So, what's life like being short in height? I've pretty much been short my whole life, and I stand at 5 foot 4 inches, which is, I believe, about 163 centimeters. So, I'm below the average height for a male across the board, and I've never been tall in any way, shape, or form growing up. I've always been one of the shorter guys at each age range. And so I would say it's not the most desirable trait to have. And I just feel like there's so many advantages in being tall. And I didn't reap those benefits. There may be some advantages being short as well, but I just feel like the benefits of being tall outweigh the benefits of being short. And just to list some of the things that I feel like have the benefits or being advantageous being tall, I would say is just having a taller height and towering over people. You kind of have already like level respect right away. I think people generally have a certain first impression respect that they have for people that are taller than them. So there's that. And I think when it comes to getting into athletics, getting into sports, generally majority of the sports have more benefits if you're taller. Right. For example, if you're playing basketball, it's more advantageous to be taller because it's easier for you to get to the rim, to block shots, to use your length to play better defense or to shoot over people. So uh, it has its benefits in not just basketball, but plenty of other sports. And I would also say, um, maybe when it comes to like even dating, uh, generally, if you're a male and you're taller, that's a big trait that the females would actually be attracted to more. They definitely generally want more taller guys. So just listing those characteristics, you could just already know that there's so much advantages of being taller and having that physical attribute. So not having that, it just feels like so much of a deficit. And I felt that growing up because when you are shorter, it's like people underestimate you, people don't think much of you, and think that you're a pushover in a lot of ways. So you could be susceptible of taking advantage of in a lot of ways. And I felt that growing up as a kid, and it develops like a chip on your shoulder when you have that kind of deficit, when you feel that kind of pressure and being undervalued in a lot of ways just by physical appearance, just by the fact that you're just short. And for me, my parents, they're not that tall. They're pretty short as well. And it's like I already knew that, I'm most likely going to be short. And it's not the greatest feeling to have knowing that eventually like you're just not going to be tall. And because I had those feelings and those thoughts, it made me want to try so much harder to be taller because you just didn't want to have those outward, you know, impressions on you, those negative impressions that of how people perceive you. And so what made it worse too is that I really enjoyed sports. And as I mentioned before, there's so much advantages to being tall, and a lot of the pro athletes are probably like 6 feet and higher. Um, in a lot of these sports that people play. And so the fact that I really enjoyed playing basketball and had desire to like do that for a living or make that a career, I think that made it even worse. And so, um, not only in a general way did I want to be tall to gain like a respect of other people and to change the way people perceive me, but also I wanted to be tall because, you know, I thought it'd be advantageous in pursuing basketball. So, with that being said, just growing up, I've tried my best. I thought there was just a way for me to work harder in growing taller, and I did everything I could, whatever strategies I knew at the time, to make myself taller. Whether it's sleeping early, getting enough sleep. Um, at the time, it was believed that you drink a lot of milk, have a lot of calcium, and you'll grow. So I'll drink like 3 to 4 cups of milk a day, thinking that that was gonna help me. Um, I suppose like playing basketball in itself, when you're involved in the activity, that in a sense is supposed to help you grow because you do a lot of jumping and a lot of reaching, things like that. And so I felt like I did whatever I could to try to grow, and I thought it was achievable through hard work. Unfortunately, genetics get in the way and limit you from your potential of getting to a height that you desire. And there might have been one way where I could have changed, that might have helped, was just eating a lot. And I tried to do that as I got into high school, but I think by that time it was too late. But the thing was, when I was little, I was always a picky eater, so I didn't eat as much as I should have. So that could have been a factor too of why I didn't grow as taller. But at the time, I didn't know too much, and I didn't have the knowledge to, at least in that aspect, to try to grow taller. But I did everything I could within the knowledge of information that I had. So just growing up like that and putting so much eggs into, or putting all my eggs into one basket and trying to get taller, I I just put so much weight on that. And I thought that was everything just for me to, I put everything into it for me to want to grow taller. And that really obsessed my mind. It's just this desire to grow. Eventually, I had a point where I realized, like, oh, I'm just not growing anymore. I think it got to when I was like 16, when I was a junior in high school or senior. Um, I kept growing until my sophomore year in high school, where I reached 5'4". But eventually, a year or two after, I just thought, okay, I'm not growing anymore. This is it. And so, even after that, even coming to that realization, and um, it took a bit of time for me to get over that, to get over the fact that I was so obsessed with being short, and I really wanted to be tall. Like I felt like I did everything I could, and it took me years to really get to a place where I was just accepting of, like, this is just who I am. This is just the height that I'm gonna be. And I think I the reason why it took so long is because, like, I just had trouble accepting it. There's always this contemplation of, like, what if I was 6 foot tall? What if I was that? I would have been such a great basketball player. I would have been better than what I am now. And the only reason, like, other people are good is because they're taller than me. So placing so much weight on that, and like, oh, look how much different, like, I would have been, like, what kind of person I would be. Maybe I'd have more confidence in myself if I was just taller. And that, honestly, that might have been the case. But what I was doing was, all I was doing was just obsessing about what if. It's just like a what if scenario. It's not real. It's not based on reality. It's just based on pretty much fantasy. And so I think going through those years of just coming to peace with it, it just took a long time because I was just not happy with who I was. And that's really what it came down to. It's just not being accepting and at peace with who I am. And as I gotten older, as I got into my 20s, eventually I got over it and accepted the fact that this is just who I am. This is just the way that God made me, and it's okay. I might have certain impressions because I'm short, and people may perceive me that way in a certain way, but that's fine. It's just the way it is. Eventually, I just accept it, and the moment that I had full acceptance of who I was, I eventually just came to a place of peace, and I was good. There wasn't this any type of resentment with the way that I was, but just accepting the fact that this is who I am. I'm able to move on from it, and so a lot of things with height brought a lot of perspective in life, and really understood like what it is I really desired in life, and the fact that I couldn't have like a certain attribute that I put so much weight in really showed like what it is I valued. And I valued like something that probably is a little bit more superficial just based on physical appearance and what people think of me. But, you know, life is much more than just that. And eventually I came to a point where I able to let that go and be at peace with it. I'm still short. I'm much older now. And the reality is, it's short. I, I'm short, but it's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm over it now. Like, I don't think about my height that much. I don't obsess about it as I used to. At the end of the day, I came to a place of appreciation and gratitude, and I'm happy. I'm content with where I am in life, um, and it's okay to accept things for who you are, even though if you don't have every trait that you always want in life. And I think he could live with a certain level of contentment if you just accept the person that you are.